shine, want me shine, yeah. One time for my guy, yeah. Hold it ground, hold me down, yeah. You know I shine, I want to shine, yeah. My God, hold me down, I will shine, yeah. My God, watch me shine. Whoa, whoa, I'm gonna shine. Whoa, you know I gotta shine, watch me shine.
All right, y'all. It is time to shine. It is time to shine. Kings and queens, fellow jewels that are tuning in this evening, you're in for a very special treat. It is time to shine with episode. We're already keeping this party rolling for season 3. If you're just tuning in with us for the first time, we are a podcast and vidcast show and series that goes by the name of Run the Jewels. And so you can search us out on any podcast platform. Just type in Run the Jewels Show. I'm your host, Julian Smartrimple, King Jules, here for another very special edition of our RTJ show this week. And again, you can listen to us on all podcast platforms to see what previous episodes that we've launched for season 3, you all. I'm excited. We're already on YouTube streaming live too. And so if you're on YouTube, if you don't want to be on Facebook this evening for our live broadcast, you can just search me out at Julian Smartrimple to see some of the previous season 3 episodes of Run the Jewels Show. But I'm excited, you all. We're in for a treat this evening. For those who are creatives, for those who are actors, calling all actors, calling all actresses, calling all creatives, even those who are entrepreneurs, those who are business brands. If you have a brand, whether it's a product or a service, and also you are your own brand. And so we want to make sure that we are giving and paying homage to those who are brands in themselves and brands in their own right. And so you're in for a treat this evening because you have that is going to be interviewed this evening, actor, creative, entrepreneur, and most importantly, he is about his business and his brand. And so he goes by the name of John Dixon. You may have seen his flyer at the beginning of tonight's episode. He's a brethren of mine. We actually went to the same high school. Shout out to Wildcat Nation, Wheeler High School in Marietta, Georgia. But John, I've been following it and also watching this king literally surpass a lot of expectations that he even set for himself personally, and going after his dream and also going after his career of being a legit actor, not someone who's out here in Atlanta or in LA that is not getting work. They don't have their resume built up. They don't have a diverse resume. This young brother and this young king is actually following what he said he's going to do. I'm excited to hear his progress in the last year to year and a half since we spoke on the RTJ show. And so he's a VIP guest and a VIP jewel for the RTJ show. And so I'm about to get ready to bring him in. But for those who are watching with us, if you have any questions at any time for my special guest, Mr. John Dixon, you can list them here and we will get to them shortly because this is an interactive show. It's not just myself interviewing the guest. We want to make sure that we have interaction, crowd participation. And so if you have a question, especially if you are in the entertainment industry, or even if you are wanting to know how to improve and diversify your brand and your resume, definitely list your questions here and we'll get to them shortly. And so without further ado, definitely share, like this episode, subscribe to us on all podcast platforms here on Facebook or on YouTube. And I want you to meet my very special guest, Mr. John Dixon. And so, John, how you feeling this evening, King?
I am feeling, with an introduction like that, I mean, come on, I'm feeling amazing.
I love it, man. We appreciate you first and foremost, Dixon, coming on to give us a round 3. I know you have been definitely a validated guest on our show and dropping a ton of jewels from season 1 and season 2. And so we applaud you for taking time out to share even more jewels for this year with our audience. And so as you've seen before, for those who don't know you but need to know you, tell us a little bit about your background, John, and also tell us a little bit about where you're originally from, and also why this subject is important to you for this evening.
Absolutely. Well, after that great, awesome introduction, I'm John Dixon, and I was born and raised in Marietta, Georgia, and went to Wheeler High School with my fellow king, Mr. King Jules there. And, I kind of had a really nice kind of childhood growing up, got in a little bit of trouble and straightened things around and started to actually take my passion seriously. And one of those passions for me was acting, and actually in learning that craft, and not only just learning the craft, but utilizing it and putting it into action. And it all started just from being a crazy, you knew me as a kid. I was just an entertainer. I just liked attention. So I would just be, hey guys, look at me over here. And then the people started paying attention, and I started crafting that. And once I noticed that I could, get attention for like being a funny guy or being a rapper or just being a nice person that genuinely people wanted to be around, I started learning at a very young age that being authentic is what people like to be, or what people want to be around. Authenticity is one of my main things that I preach to any young actor that's coming out here, is just be authentic to yourself. And for some reason, I found that out as a little kid. And when I found out that being myself in any situation that I'm in, I could excel, and I could actually be taken seriously, and people would notice me. And then I started learning about how to be kind of a social chameleon and kind of blending in with the people that I was around in high school, middle school, then getting up into college, and then now into the adult world, etc. But using all of those things and learning that as a young age, it really sparked a passion for me that I didn't know I had until I was in college, and that was acting, and learning to expand my horizons and make it a legit job. I had no idea I could get actually paid to do what I love to do. I always, everyone always tells you that's a myth, and I ended up saying, hey man, if this is a myth, well, let me try it out. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of hard work, but when you're doing something that you love, you're not working a day in your life. You know what I mean? It's just, you're constantly here. And that's kind of how I started picking up what I thought my passion was and what I thought my goals in life were. And then it all kind of started to whittle down, and I said, hey, let's take it seriously. Find the right tools. Let me find who I need to read, what I need to invest my time in that's going to make me a better actor and a better just person in general and human being, because that sells. If you're a shitty human being, or excuse me, if you're a bad human being, no one's going to want to work with you, So I've had to learn a lot of lessons along the way, but going back to the very beginning, it's learning to use your authenticity in any aspect of life. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. For those that are just tuning in, you just heard from my very special guest, Mr. John Dixon. He is a legit actor. I have to always repeat that because he is a IMDb actor. You can go and literally search this brother right now, or even after you listen to this episode. He has a track record and also an acting resume. And so you're in for a treat if you are wanting to get into the entertainment industry. He is going to be dropping a ton of jewels on how to expand your creative resume and portfolio as an actor. And so shout out to all the actors, all the entertainers out there. He's even taught me a lot about the behind the scenes when it comes to really the work that you got to put in, and even to build your brand as an actor, just like you would any business or any entrepreneurship venture. And so shout out to all the creatives out there. Also, if you have any questions, we're going to be having an active dialogue with our audience. And so feel free to list any questions you have for Brother Dixon in the comment section, and we'll make sure to get to them shortly. But without further ado, let's go back to you, Dix, man. Talk to us about what's been going on since last year. I know we were catching up at the beginning of the episode, just talking about how much you've expanded your brand in literally less than a year. And so talk to us about what are some of the projects you've recently come off of, or even are currently potentially working on, just so that people can know that you are literally a working actor and a working creative man.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, this past year I've been kind of busy. It's been kind of wild. You know, of course, the world's kind of crazy, but we forge forward and we move on because this is our jobs, right? So I just got finished doing, let's see, my recent project. I did a commercial for Caramount Health, and that's kind of stepping my game up right there and putting me into a different light. And commercials are a whole different ballgame that we're going to tap into. I also just got finished shooting one SAG feature film and an independent film with Robert Lusardo, which was an amazing experience. And then the SAG film that I'm shooting, and then we have reshoots coming up in September, is called Here Comes the Sun, written by the amazing Ted Johnson. This guy's a playwright. This guy's a producer. He's an extraordinary gentleman that does just about everything. And he actually roped in and got Terry J. Vaughn on this project to play the lead.
Wow.
And so I'm opposite Terry J. Vaughn, playing Phil, this Boston guy who uses a wheelchair, and, you know, he's got a beard. He's very, very, very kind of wicked out there, you know? So he gets this opportunity. I get an opportunity to have a transformation on camera. I get to shave my beard, and, you know, I get to come out from being a curmudgeon and get to see a little bit of the sun in my life and the joy at the end of it. With a great cast. I mean, these people have become my family. I mean, we started out by being on the road, touring this as a play.
Wow.
And then COVID happened, and I was actually in Texas when this happened, when we got the first state of emergency to go home, and so we were like, shut it down. Everything shut down in the middle of the run. You know, good things happen out of weird things, and that ended up spurring this into a SAG motion picture.
Wow.
That we shot the majority of it. We had 6 days to shoot that majority of it, and then we're going to finish it out this year. And look, that'll be pretty cool. And then I get to play a kind of a bad guy in this other one who has a redemption story as well. And you know, the wicked is wicked. Let's just keep it like that, you know. But that's expanding. They're two different roles, you know. And for me, just to have that on the resume and show people like, hey, you want serious? Yeah, I'll give you serious all day. And you want comedy? I'll give you comedy. You want melodrama? You know. And that's what it's about. Expanding that resume is trying to take these different jobs. Now, luckily, I've gotten to a position where I'm not just being read for as the cop. But,
right.
You know, if you're going to typecast me, you're working. Be typecasted. I don't understand why people don't – I mean, why they get so sick of that. If you're acting and that's your job, this is your job. Get that money. Like, whatever you are. If you're the high school teacher, keep playing the high school teacher, because I'm telling you, man, that's going to give you money. But at the end of the day, expanding this resume and the portfolios, and I've had opportunity after opportunity present itself, just being in the right place in the right time, and working and networking. And as well as you know, networking is the number one thing of our brand and our business. It really is. I I can't explain it enough. All these social media stuff, these platforms that we have, this is free advertisement. We get nothing but free advertisement all throughout for however many friends we got and how many friends they want to tell and whatnot. And it happens. It's a trickle effect. It really does work. I had to find that out through my friend Tommy O'Brien years ago. And he's a fellow actor, phenomenal actor who I learned he uses all his social media for business. And then I was like, let me start doing that. But going back to this, if you are an actor and you are being serious about this, I want everyone to know this is a business. This isn't getting your feels out, which is very cathartic and it's a great place and it's a passion and it's awesome. But you have to understand the business behind all of this. And what I mean by that is, I mean, go out and get yourself LLC. I went and got myself LLC'd about 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. And with that means that the government now sees me as an actor, a legitimate actor. That means that I can start writing off some stuff, like all the clothes that I use right now. I can write this off because this is my wardrobe. All the movies and stuff that I go see, that's all research. I can write those off. All of these things can be, the traveling to set, traveling to auditions, camera, lighting equipment, everything. This is a business. This is your business. And I had a lot of great people teach me along the way. I mean, they make it so easy with these QuickBook apps and all of these things that just, as you spend it tracks your spending, and then you can go out there and you can legitimately give that to the government, and they'll look at it and they'll give you a tax write-off if it's worth it, or however my accountant does it. But at the same time, that means being legit. And in this business, if you're an actor, for people to make you and take you seriously, you have to present yourself as a serious actor, not somebody that's a diva, not somebody who's here to get their one shot and one moment of glory. No, you're here to do a job, and your job for starting out actors, especially like me when I was starting out, is you're here to move the story along. You're not here for your moment of glory, of shining, because if you're here to outshine somebody, they're going to throw you off that set real quick because you're taking focus. The second you start pulling focus from the big star, they're not going to want to hire you again until you're on their level. But you want to move your story along. And that means that you have to be a serious actor, and it's taking and understanding that this is a business and that there's actual rules to this business. And there's levels and tiers that you progressively graduate to. But at the same time, all of this is a business. And that's the only thing that I can stress to serious actors that want to make it is learn your P's and Q's. Learn it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right on par with that, especially Dix, especially in literally not trying to outshine the master, which is one of the 48 laws of power. A lot of people that are creatives always try to come in into this industry, especially thinking that they're automatically going to be the Will Smith, the any of the high commodity actors that we know get paid top dollar just off of their namesake. And so I know we did have a question coming in from Auntie Carol. She asked, what does an LLC entail and how does one obtain their LLC? And then I want to come back to a point that I wanted to make. So what is the LLC and how can one attain the LLC, Dix?
So it's super simple. Really, an LLC is your limited liability company. And it's super simple. What I did, to be honest, was I Googled how to set up an LLC in Georgia. And it kind of just took me to the right steps, after all of the ads and stuff, it presented the right. And then I filed with the state of Georgia, and I think it was Brad Raffensperger or whatever is our secretary. And you pay a fee, and you pick your business name. My business name is John Dixon Actor LLC. Shout out, Dad. Thank you, sir. And Yeah, no, and you pay your fees, and you set it up, and you report your business, and it's really simple nowadays. Everything is kind of like laid out to you online, and you know, if you have, I'm obviously not a professional accountant or anything like that. I do have people that do look at my books and stuff like that as well, just like any other business. But starting out, good old Google LLC, and then whatever state you're in, it's going to have certain requirements for you to meet, and then you fill out your paperwork and you send it in, and you pay your fees, and you got yourself a business. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and definitely shout out to Auntie Carol McKenzie asking
Thanks,
the question.
Carol.
Yeah, if anybody else has any questions, of course, for Dix, no question is too small or too large. Definitely ask questions as much as you feel led to, because we're all learning. I'm learning right now myself about this industry, especially how it's been affected post-COVID and even during COVID season right now. And so that was going to be one of my questions too, Dix, is like, how have you still kept yourself just moving and actually elevating throughout this COVID season? I know last year when we spoke to you, you said like a lot of projects basically may have got tabled or sidelined, and some of the projects were starting to dwindle down a little bit based off of what region that you were in. But like, talk to us about what's been happening for this year, 2021, and also where do you foresee like the projects going into 2022 for local and even major acting projects?
Well, to be honest, you know, it was dwindling down there, like, and all of us were freaking out. We're like, where's our jobs? We don't have anywhere to go. I mean, this is how I pay my bills. We gotta get entertaining somehow. And you know, after a few, literally it was like a month or 2 months, and the industry started warping and shaping around that. And before, we were already 90% self tapes. Like, that means that we will tape on and then we'll edit it and then send it in via portal like Actors Access or something like that. And so when all of that started happening, I started learning about Zoom and like taking courses on how to actually like learn and work all of that stuff. And you know, like, because I have the good equipment, but I have no idea how to work Zoom. And then there's lag time sometimes. And then if you're working on a real audition and stuff like that, you know. But I will say it's actually made our job a little bit easier and has given us more opportunities, because I can now Zoom one of my buddies who's a professional actor and have him read for me while I'm taping myself and doing that. And now I don't need anybody. Well, I mean, I need my reader, but I don't need them physically in the room with me. It always helps to actually have someone to act with, but if you don't have it, you have to forge forward, and you have to give them a good product still. And then I started going back to that. I mean, there is nothing that I can do, so I'm always looking out for projects and looking for stuff to do and all that sort of things. And then, you know, I'm a creator, so I have to create. And so I decided to go back, and I went and ended up writing an album and producing and rapping. And, you know, it's called Quarantined. It's on every major platform out there right now. And that's what you do as an entertainer. You find something. You have to find something to keep you moving, because my brain has to continue going, because, as you know, this is just how I'm built. I want to act, so I'm going to act. I want to rap. I got to rap. I got to be funny. I got to do this. I got to stand up. I want to do improv. I want to go here. All that was taken away. So I started filming monologues again. And I was like, okay, I got nothing to do. I'm going to film some monologues. You know what? I'm going to talk to some of my buddies. He does score. We're going to get him to score underneath the monologue. We're going to see what this sounds like. You know, and I was using the social media platforms during all of the COVID, creating my own stuff. I was just writing monologues and putting music behind it. And I was like, you know, somebody might see that. And sure enough, someone saw it and then casted me as a soldier, because that's what the monologue was about.
Wow.
So it's free. And then that goes back to your social media. This is free. Use it and show off. And it's scary. It's vulnerable and it's raw. And people are not going to like some of it. And that's okay. But you know what? If you're out there showing it and giving yourself, somebody's eventually going to give you a chance. And that's just kind of, it's a numbers game. It's sales at the end of the day. You have to give it out there. And the more viewers or the more people seeing your skills or you doing something crazy or something off of the cusp, or like when I'm on set, I'll go around and talk in accents, you know, just in case they need somebody they need. You never know. You know what I mean? Like you just never know. If they need an English guy, I'll give you an English guy. You know, if you need a Boston guy, I'm going to give you a Boston guy. So it's just being yourself and being authentic and showing. And when you have all of these free platforms and beautiful, beautiful ways to put your tentacles all out there, use it. I don't understand it. Use it. But going back to all of it is, remind me that question again. I got a little sidetracked there.
No, you were right on par with it, bro. We were just talking about, like, how have you been able to stay in other actors during COVID season? And also, like, that was leading into the next question that you were already alluding to, like when it comes to really putting yourself out there. You are an actor that we've interviewed on the RTJ show, along with shout out to Rachel LaForce and also TJ Jackson, that has talked about the importance of literally putting yourself out there constantly and not relying on, let's say, your agent or anybody else to basically go and book projects for you, so that you don't just have to wait for the ball to come to you, but that you're also going out there and getting the ball. And so getting the ball rolling, especially. So talk to us about, like, how are the strategies that you use to basically, like, put your face out there. I know you talked about networking on set, like behind the scenes, in order to, like, get a different level of a project that you want booked versus what they're looking for you at. Do you have any strategies that you use specifically?
You know, it's just kind of like it really goes back to, like, networking and kind of just putting yourself out there and being raw and being vulnerable is one of the hardest things that any human being can do. We're literally taught not to do this from our fight or flight reflexes, because this is our life. We don't want to be exposed. You know, nobody wants to see the real you. And I think there comes with a level of just a level of doing it after a while, and building confidence, and then networking and being out there and knowing some characters don't work, and some characters you're going to despise, and some you're going to love and you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life. But just kind of knowing that this networking opportunity is already built in. I'm sorry, give me that question one more time.
Oh no, you were hinting to it right there, bro. Just in being able to, I know you talked a lot about on previous episodes, just the importance of even being nice and being approachable, being able to be genuine and authentic, just like you and also Rach has talked about, like being authentic and not trying to be someone that you are not. Like, just stay with that point in speaking about how that's landed you, even gigs recently or even in the last year, just from that approach in itself.
I will say that be nice. Just be nice. I don't get it. Like, hey, we all have tough days sometimes, and I know everybody's got, especially now, everyone has something going on. But we need just a little bit of love out there, and that's in any work environment, and especially on a set. Because everyone thinks that there's tiers and there's levels and that someone's more important than the other person. But the truth is, we're all working for one goal. We're all here to make one motion picture. And the fact is that when everybody's on that same wavelength of thought, then you actually have a smooth set. It's when you have people that want to come out here and actually want to show that I can do this, and I can do it. You got to leave your id. You got to leave your ego aside because you're working with a team. It's not about I anymore, because at this point, when you go out there and you make an I movie, I've never seen anyone make a movie by themselves that is really, I mean, I'm sure there has been, but it's teamwork. And being nice to people has landed me so many more gigs, just being genuine, just going in and talking to someone. And if it's a hair and makeup person, just ask them how their day was. It takes literally 2 seconds to be like, hey, what's going on in your world? And it will change. It will change the way that that person has viewed you for the rest of their life. They will all automatically be like, wow, this person asked about me. I like this person. Just be genuine. And even if you're struggling on finding a connection with someone, just be nice and move out of the way and just say, hey, okay, I'm not going to fight this battle, because nobody wants friction at any workplace that you're at. Nobody wants that friction. And that's when people get crazy and they're like, okay, well, I think I'm going to move on to something else. And then you see these people like Ron Howard and people that have the same crew all the way down to the very PA. They have the same exact people because they know they come in, they do the job, they're here, they want to get home to their wife, they want to get home to their families or to their dogs, and they want to be there. But everyone's here working on one goal, and that goal is the final arc, the whole entire picture. And having an id and an ego in this business has really been, it sinks a lot of people, and I've seen it happen. And I just step out of the way and I say, hey, I hope everything works out for you. If we get to work together again, I hope it's a great job, you know? And my father always taught me, never burn a bridge, always lead with a smile. You know what I mean? You're going to get a lot more done in this business with honey than you are with vinegar. That's the truth. It's just any aspect in life. We all have bad days. That's true. And we all want to take it out on somebody. That's true. I mean, we have all been there. But when you're at a work environment, and especially in this business, because work and personal get mixed very easy because it's art, and art is personal. People take their art very personal. And the second you tell someone how to do their art, or the second that you're interfering with their art and you're not running at their level or whatever flow that they're into, then that's when the id and the ego come back out, and it really stops the progress being made on set. And that's all. That time is money. You're on there. I mean, like literally every single second counts down to the milliseconds. And if you're a good producer and director in film, you have every single shot already laid out before you even have this movie, you know, casted for the most part. And so time is money. Being a bad person, or not even a bad person, but just taking out your troubles on other people, especially on sets, not going to get you anywhere. And I always learned, treat hair, makeup, wardrobe, treat everyone with respect, because you know why? They probably work with the big boss, the directors and the producers, and you know what? The producers and the directors are probably going to ask them, hey, how did John treat you when no one else was around? And if they say like, hey, this guy was kind of a jerk to me, then that's how they're going to view you as.
Yeah, and I know it's a lot of douchebaggers, as we used to call them back in the day, that are on set that are so convoluted and so much of a literal little a-hole on the sets. I've heard about these stories, man. So it's really, like you said, all about being genuine and not trying to put up a front or an air of someone who you're not, like you're saying, bro.
Like, we're all in this together. Like, even in this planet, we're all in this together. Just help each other out. I don't get it. But then at the same time, you know, you get all these people who do want to take the limelight, and I look at them and I say, hey, I hope it works out for you. And if it does, I'm actually going to applaud you. But in my experience, I haven't seen people saying, hey, look at me, actually progress forward. It's the people who come in, do their job, that are nice, or at least they don't have to be nice. At least just be polite, or just not mean. Don't be a jerk. You know what I mean? and go home to your family, or go home to your dog or your cat, or whatever you got at home or whatever. And that's when you're really making a movie. And that's when everybody's on the same page. And that's when a set is fun. And that's when I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to work with these people again. Then they call me back. The next thing I know, I'm on their third production with them. You know what I mean? And the next thing you know, like I've done over 40, 50 of the Jupiter Entertainment, the murder reenactment shows. Like, you know, I stopped counting because I love working with them. They love working with me. It's all about cultivating an actual business and professional relationship with these people. It's not about making your next step. It's they got a job because they have a deadline from some corporate person up at Oxygen or wherever they're at HLN, and they need somebody reliable like myself who's going to come in and give you the lines or give you whatever it is character that you want, because I know that that's what keeps me working. And for me, once I formulated that equation, I kept with it, and now it's giving me more opportunities. I can play around on set. I can do different accents. I can be different characters. And somebody sees that and they're saying, you know, I didn't think about it, but that Boston guy he does is going to do right for this guy. You know what I mean? So it all works out. And that goes back to being vulnerable and being yourself and being authentic and giving out that energy, and sometimes taking a chance and trying something new on a take. If you're given an actor's take, try something new. Don't give them the same thing, and then they might like it. And if they don't, move on. Don't care about your pride or your ego. It's gonna get bruised, but you move on. And you don't show that you got bruised because nobody wants to see that. Just move on. You're a professional actor. That's it.
That's real right there, bro. We got some questions coming in too on my personal page. So shout out to King Andrew. I'm gonna put them on the screen for us right after this quick commercial break. We want to definitely give a shout out to our official sponsor for tonight's episode. And so take a look and see who our official sponsor is for tonight's very special episode. So shout out again to our official sponsor for tonight's very special episode, episode 167. Each episode this season, we do have a sponsor that we bring on for each of our podcast shows. So tonight's sponsor is Fits for Kings and Queens. This is an African-centric clothing line and also retail brand that we also literally power for the Smart Jewels Enterprises business structure that also powers the RTJ show. And so you can click the link in the comment section to see what upcoming fall and winter lines that are being launched for this fall and winter season. And then if you are interested in being a future sponsor, we do highlight small business owners or regular entrepreneurs that are about their business or their product. And so if you are interested, you could also click the link in the comment section to sign up to be a sponsor on a future episode. If you are an artist, a business woman or man or creative, definitely click the link. But back to you, John. We wanted to make sure we brought on Andrew had some comments coming in for you, bro, while we were just answering the last question. He wanted to know, like, how do you prepare for a new role? He had asked this when you were first talking about all the different projects that you've been working on since COVID season has taken place. So, like, what is your preparation for getting into a new role?
Great question. And thank you to our sponsors, by the way. Super awesome. I usually, before I take a role or do anything like that, I'll take a look at the script and I'll actually read it through, see if it's something I want to get my hands into, and then I'll start reading my character's role. I kind of try and go into it with a very blank, unless I've been given notes from a director or notes from a writer, or there are already certain inherent values about this character. I'd like to try and go into it with a blank mind and just read it as flat as possible, to be honest. And I like to read it out loud too. That way I can actually hear what I'm saying and see how it's processing. And sometimes it comes in a little bit different than when you're reading it by yourself or when you're reading it not out loud. And so I'll take that in and then I'll just kind of let the script, because if you're a good writer, I mean, a lot of the character nuances are already just written in there for you. And I'll start kind of picking up on some of those nuances. I'll start applying them and, figuring out regions, figuring out where it is, if it's, and figuring out just kind of who this person is. And then after kind of getting the basics down, I'll dive in a little bit deeper and I'll just kind of give this person a life. And sometimes I'll write it out. Sometimes it'll just be for me in my head. And sometimes it'll just be a guy I see on the street. And I'm like, yeah, that archetype. Yeah, that's going to fit this character because this guy's a douchebag ass, so excuse my language. And so at the same time, it's just reading what's already there. And a lot of the times it's already there. A character is already set in whatever the writer wants out of it. And it's our job as actors to pick up those nuances and then bring those into reality. So any advice in my first starting out and how I prepare is literally just read it as flat as possible and read the entire script if you're given that opportunity, because that'll give you so much meat and potatoes to play with. And you can actually give this character life and bones, and then put on top of that muscle, and then veins and blood and heart and lungs, and then you give it life. But it all got to start somewhere. And usually as an actor, someone else is writing that character for you already. And you just want to pick up whatever that writer is writing. And sometimes it's in between the page. Sometimes it's right in your face. But most of the times it's going to be in subtext and or whatever you yourself brings to that character. That's what I got on there.
No, that's good right there, bro. And that was what I was even going to pivot to. Shout out to Andrew and shout out to Auntie Carol asking any questions. If anyone else has any questions, there's still time. We still got time on the clock. You can ask them in the comment section and we'll put them on the screen to get to them shortly. But I wanted to go into in diversifying your brand. That is something that I know you are very passionate about talking about. And really this subject that we just are bringing to the table this evening, and letting anybody who is a creative, not just actors, but people that are in the entertainment or creative space that literally want to build up their resume and portfolio so that they can be legitimized as a legit entertainer or as a legit comedian, as a legit actor or actress, or even a DJ or a VJ. Like, talk to us about what are some tips and some jewels that you can drop on those that really are at that point that they've already got their feet wet and that they're trying to literally diversify and expand their resume?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you hit a lot of the things. If you're an entertainer, And people who make their living as an entertainer, they know they're not just doing one job. That's the truth. Expanding your portfolio creatively, that means going out and doing new stuff. And that means if it's entertainment, that means branching into different entertainment. That means doing improv. That means doing stand-up comedian or stand-up comedy. It means try doing a musical. Try doing a straight play. Try doing a horror movie, or try expanding what you're comfortable with, because that's when you stop succeeding, is when you get comfortable, because you're not striving. You're no longer in the red zone. Your heart's not getting the actual exercise it needs, right? And it's the same thing with acting. So you do the same thing over and over. Yes, I do get how you get typecast and do the same thing over and over. But that's the actor's job, is to go out and do something to flex that muscle somewhere else. And to be a rapper, or to be a DJ, or to go out there and to find something new that will shake up and actually add to whatever it is you're really wanting to get better at, right? So like when I started doing improv, I became such a better actor because I was able to think on my feet, and I was able to spin a lot of things into positivity, and to actually like think 6 or 7 lines ahead and know where the story arc's going before me and you've even established. And now we've established the story, so we're keeping it going, But I've learned so much more that I can be on my feet on set. I do improv so I can be actually in the moment and being in there. And I learned that I had to step out of my comfort zone of being behind a camera or being behind a stage, or at least having all of the control, because I know how to do this. I had to step up, and I was really bad at improv at first, because I thought it was acting, and it's just being in the moment. And guess what acting is? Being in the moment. I mean, literally, it's in the word: action, reaction. And so at the same time, it was literally just stepping out, branching, trying new things, expanding. I am so, what's the good word I'm looking for? I don't think I have a good voice, right? But I'm told I do, but I don't think I do. And I lack a lot of confidence in my singing. But you know what? I know that I need to be able to at least sing, so I can do musicals, because I know that that's one source of revenue that's coming in. If I'm off and it's like a dead time for me, and I can take on a play, and all they're doing is a musical right now, well, I gotta learn how to sing. I just gotta learn how to sing. I can act like it, you know what I mean? So I've taken lessons. I've learned piano. I've learned all of these new things that have made me a better actor, because I can think and I can learn all that. Another thing that you guys want to do, or any actor or any entertainer, I watch all the master classes. I'm not secretly working for them. It's just a very great source of education from people who are doing it. Ron Howard, Samuel, just got finished with Spike Lee's. All of them are dropping gems, and these are the things that you invest in yourself. And if you are LLC, you can write those off. I write my masterclass off because that's my education. You know, pick up books, try learning, and going back to the, as you can see, I've read this one quite a bit. This is Oedipus by Sophocles. Pick up books, pick up the greats, the classics. Go back to Shakespeare. I mean, literally, How to Do Shakespeare by Adrian Noble. My teacher in college, Frank Miller, gave me this. I've learned more about how to do modern stuff and modern acting in this book than any sort of actor on Facebook trying to tell me that they can make me a better actor. I mean, these are all the greats. They've already been done. Learn from them. I mean, I got directing for the stage. Learn how to direct. Step outside of your comfort zone. Learn how to light. Learn how to do sound. Learn everything, because then you'll always have a job. If you're not being an actor at that point, step behind camera, go do some ADR, go do take some lessons, call up your friends. Whenever I'm on set, I'm always learning, always talking to crew. I'm figuring out what light are you using? Why is this pointing in this direction? And what kind of heat are we getting? What atmosphere are you creating? Talk to your directors if you get that opportunity. Understand how their minds are working, because you can give them a better job if you know how their minds are working, you know? Talk to your directors. Learn the art of directing. Learn the art of being a producer. What does it take to actually put money into a project and keep it going to the very end of the project? Learn how to edit, because then you'll know in the editing room, oh, they're probably going to, you know, put you over here next to her. They're probably going to blend that together, you know? Learn it all. There's no reason not to. If you are doing a craft and if this is your business, you better be damn well educated, because that's what this is. It's I used to think, oh, education, I'm too cool. To be honest, man, I'm just kicking my 21 self in the face, you know, like, you should have done it. But at the same time, this is why I've excelled. And this is why you excel. And this is why the people that we surround ourselves excel, because we're educating ourselves constantly. And it's I haven't found my end of education yet, and I never will, and I hope I never do. So learn it all. If you are being pigeonholed and you're stuck, learn something new about your craft. Learn a different aspect. Learn how to dance. You know, learn different skills. Learn how to ballroom dance if you want to. Let's see. Learn how to fight. Learn how to do air. This is my resume, by the way. You know, I'll go ahead and show this up to you guys. Learn everything. This is my little thingy here. These are my film, my television, and I got to go to the second page because I got enough here. But see, these are all my special skills. Put down your special skills. Learn accents, running, rock climbing, you know, combat, stage, cycling. Learn stuff and put it down on your resume, because you never know what's going to get you a job. If you know how to drive a manual, put it on your resume. Probably going to get you a job. You never know. So that's my rant on that.
No, that's real right there, bro. You definitely are walking good, as my cousin Andrew says. I know we had a question come in for you. Shout out to, this is one of my fellow brethren too. Shout out to Javon Patterson. Top Flight asked, what have you learned from Oedipus Rex that generic college classes didn't teach you?
Oh, Oedipus Rex. What did I do?
Oedipus, my fault.
Yeah, it took me forever to like actually get the pronunciation of that. What I learned about Oedipus that the generic college classes didn't teach me is how smart the Greek Sophocles and the playwrights were then. They were so smart in the fact that they knew that your imagination is going to create something so much worse than anything that you're going to see on that stage. So all the violence and everything when she's killing her, Oedipus is about it's about a man who marries his mother and kills his father, right? And so it's about a self-fulfilling prophecy. The guy who was told as a young boy that he was going to grow up, marry his mother, kill his father, actually ends up fulfilling his own prophecy throughout, you know, crazy string of events between that. But what they were so smart about was knowing that the imagination is going to do far worse than whatever we can show up on the stage. And then that opened an entire door to me. I was like, oh my God, it's right. Oh my God, you guys are going to come up with something a lot worse than what I could show you up here. Let me go behind stage. So they did all of the violence off stage. All violence was done where you couldn't see it. It was just screaming and loud yelling and banging and clocks and da-da-da. Your mind is going to fill in those blanks, and it's going to be a lot more gruesome than anything that we can come up with. So that's what I learned from Oedipus Rex that a generic college class didn't teach me.
Yeah, and even with what you said too, Jay, like constantly being on set and reading? I know you told me there's a lot of downtime in between, especially movies or television shows or even commercials, and you're an avid reader. And like, stay with that point right there too. Like, you're hinting to those who are wanting to be actors, or even those who are wanting to expand their creative their creative skills, that they need to be specialized in certain areas, especially if they're trying to make themselves more palatable and even more sought after actors or actresses, or even those who are looking to pick up more diverse projects. And so talk about like the importance of not just reading, but especially having that specialized reading, and not just having downtime to be on your phone or on social, unless you are basically using that to expand or build up your brand further, but like actually staying focused with that reading and specialized reading.
I mean, as an actor, that's part of your job. You are to read and recite and rehearse and actually memorize, and then give that back into an imaginary circumstances that makes it feel real, right? So your job is to read. That's it. I mean, first thing you do, like I said, how do I prepare for a role? I read the script first. That's the very first thing I do. I have stressed a lot to a lot of younger actors getting into this. Read as much as you can. Go out there and read stage plays. Go out there. They have a great catalog online of some of your most favorite movies that you've ever seen. Go and actually read the screenplays of those, so you can understand how that movie started and how it ended, right? So, and when I'm on set, there's so much downtime and for between setting up cameras and setting up lights, etc. I do bring stuff for me to read, and yes, it is. It's my comic books, actually. I bring a lot of my comic books that, just keep me in sort of this fantasy world that I live in. I mean, I'm an actor. We live in a fantasy world where we vacation into lives. So we can live this life for a minute and then go live another one. But being on there and just using that muscle and honestly just reading and reading and reading and flexing it is only making you smarter, even if it's comic books. As long as you're reading something and you're flexing that muscle, you're doing what you're supposed to as an actor, because this is what your job is. You are to read, and then you are to interpret, and then you are to give an output of an actual product at the end. And whether the director likes it or not, that's a whole different story. But you're supposed to read and interpret. And all of those skills right there, I mean, are the basic fundamentals of anything that we do. And I just can't stress enough to people, find what you like to read. I love Marvel. I'm a big Marvel nerd. I started back to 1961. I'm in 1974 right now, reading them all. And I just love to read. And I don't even really watch television unless I'm doing a research for a role, or if I want to see some inspiration or catch some inspiration, or if this is what some directors told me to watch for inspiration, or a playwright, then I'll go watch it. But I can't stress a lot to people that this thing up here, the more that you use it and the more that you can actually flex that muscle, you will create just an entirely different world for you that you can control. Because, I mean, it's your power. We all have this power to do that and to shape what we read, and to actually give something back in return. And I just can't stress enough to any young actor or any just young professional, do the work and literally just continue picking up whatever that you can read. I have a book here that I wanted to share with you guys. It's called Desmond Morris, and it's The Human Animal. And I'm also reading his other book, and it's called People Watching. And so this book, don't just read stage play and don't just read all that. Read about humans, read psychology, read how humans act and how they work, and why we're acting and working in certain ways. A lot of the reasons that us humans act, we're all acting out of shame and insecurity. Those are some of our driving motivators in the way that we behave. understanding that as an actor, you've just learned a lot of the life skills you need to know. But going back to this book, he people watches, and everything that you can tell. And what I learned a lot from that book is learning how to read and watch and mimic body language. Body language as an actor is a whole nother language that is just not tapped into in a lot of young actors. And honestly, this is the first, probably about, last year is when I'm starting to tap into body language and starting to mimic and starting to use how people actually, when they're lying, sometimes they'll just cover your mouth, and because you can't even like say the truth because it's so hard to say. So, or you're fidgety, you're sweating, and it's reading something different on camera, and then you're finding out, oh, I'm sitting on my hands. Well, why is he sitting on his hands? Oh, this must be a comforting thing for him. So why does he need to comfort himself right now? Okay, well then maybe he's lying to me or lying to himself about something. And then go with your gut and learning all of that. That's what I learned in the People Watching book by Desmond Morris. Go with your gut. Your gut's going to tell you whether or not to react or to act. And I have to stress, it's a really hard skill to bring that into the fake world of acting, but use your gut because it'll work for you there, and it'll give you a damn good performance. And people will be like, oh my God, how'd you do that? And you'll be like, I don't know. I just felt something weird and I reacted to it. And opening that portal of reading and flexing all those muscles and doing improv and being in the theater and being on stage or singing and getting it all together. I mean, it's all a journey creating yourself a better human being, and in my case, a better actor. And I just can't stress enough: read, do the work.
Bro, you're hitting a ton of jewels, man. We got to ask you real quick before we sum up tonight's episode with your final jewel. Like which do you prefer? Just as you being an actor and a creative, do you prefer more of the plays and potentially the improv versus being in front of the camera? Do you get more invigorated, more passionate, more amped up with being in front of the live crowd versus being behind the camera and having the filming process take place? Like what is your preference, and also what do you suggest even new or possibly already veteran actors should do to perfect their craft, especially in taking it to the next level next year in doing on stage versus off stage?
Those are preferences. I mean, they're two different beasts altogether. You know what I mean? I'll go ahead and say that I do prefer stage and theater a little bit over film because that's where my roots are. That's where I started at. And to be honest, it's instant gratification. I do something, you applaud. I get stimulus up here, endorphins are going, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing something right. They're going, yay, 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 you did something right. So for me as an actor, of course, I love the stage, and it doesn't discredit anything about film because that's a whole different beast, and it's a whole different beast in patience and learning a craft and knowing that, you could be in this really intense scene and he calls cut, and then we got to change the camera around. So that's going to take 30 minutes. So I got to pick it right back up to, oh, you can be in this scene. And he says action, I'm going to work back into it. You know what I mean? So you're stopping and you're starting. You're stopping and you're starting. And it's all in, you're never, like Will Smith says, you only have to be great for 2 minutes at a time. That's usually how long a take is between action and cut. It's about 2 minutes. That's all you got to be, is great in those times. But it's really hard when you've been working 14 hours a day and you've been working all day long and you got to turn it on just like that. And everyone expects you as an actor to turn it on just like that. But we get tired. You know what I mean? Sometimes I got to be like, hey man, give me at least 5 here and we'll get back on. But you move forward and you get the shot, as everyone always says, you get the shot. And I have such a totally different respect now for for film actors and television actors than I did starting out. And it's just two completely different beasts. But truthfully, I love theater. I really, really do. I love being up there. I love doing improv. I love being, doing stand-up. I love just being with people. And then I love also being with people, but it's different. It's with the crew. It's with, your crew becomes your audience. Your producers, your directors. These are your people that now you're getting that instant gratification from. And as you know, actors, we love to get gratification. So just going back to it. I mean, they're both two different ball games. Both require two different sets of skills. But I do think for any young actor starting out, I would like to go ahead and tell you, get into theater. Not saying that there's one way to do this. There's never one way, and my way is just how I did it. That's it. But I do stress that if you get into theater, you can learn how to turn it on and have it on for an hour and a half to 2 hours and keep that moving and keep that flow going and really, really feel what it's like to act. And then you can take those moments and those feelings and you can translate it onto film. And then honestly, that's when you get those really good moments. And then on film, you can even bring it down. You can take it right here. You can bring it right in with them. And you can make them be with you because you're here and you're here with them. You don't have to go up and you don't have to be loud and you don't have to talk to the end of the thing. You just bring it right here because it's intimate. It's a lot more intimate than theater, but they're two different ball games. And at the end of the day, whatever actor out there is going for, just try it all. That's it. I mean, just try it all. Find your lane. Maybe 4 or 5 different lanes that you find. Maybe one lane. Maybe none. But you won't know unless you try. Go out there. Do it.
Bro, that's real right there. Definitely for those that stayed around or that's listening to the audio podcast, Brother Dixon is dropping a ton of his playbook, you all, in how to expand your creative resume and portfolio if you're an actor, entertainer, especially if you're in the entertainment industry, whether you're in Atlanta, New York, Cali, it does not matter. You need to go back and re-watch and re-listen to this episode, especially for those who are currently acting or in the entertainment industry. I know, Dix, we talked about a lot this evening, bro. We're about to get ready to sum up your final jewel. We've talked about how you've been doing despite the COVID season, still being a working actor. We talked about how you diversified your brand, especially in the last few years, and not just staying in one particular area, but literally trying and also testing out other forms of the market. What would be the final jewel of wisdom that you want to leave with the audience? Because as you know, you're a VIP, a VIP jewel. We always have the guests leave a final jewel for thought for the audience. What would be your final jewel that you want to leave with those who are listening?
My final jewel. One, thank you, Julian, for doing all this. This is just so amazing. And my final jewel is don't be afraid of failure. Just embrace it. Embrace failure because you're gonna fail, and you're gonna hit the ground, and it's gonna be hard, but you got to get back up. Because every failure that I've had has made me into a better actor. And actually, every failure I've had has made me into a better human being. So embrace it. And do not be afraid of the vulnerability and the rawness. Embrace it. Put the id and the ego, put it all to the side. Spread love. And honestly, embrace your failures because there's going to be a lot of them. And you're not going to always live up to your own critic, which is yourself. But as long as you know that you're in this race only with yourself and you don't have a competition in this, you're going to win no matter what. Because you're never going to let yourself fail. But embrace that failure from the beginning, and it's going to make you such a better person. And that's what I'm going to leave you with.
I love it, bro. I love it. If this episode, if you've not learned anything from this episode, I don't know what to tell you all. My brother Dixon literally gave out his whole playbook. And so if this episode has blessed you in any way, shape, or form, before we get ready to say a special blessing and prayer over Brother Dixon coming on the live this evening, sow a seed with us. We're a dynamic platform here for the Run the Jewels Show RTJ series. On all international continents is what we're looking to hit, especially by the end of this year, with guests and relevant guests that are young professionals, that are entrepreneurs, that are creatives, doing what they said that they were going to do and actually following and also transforming their craft to show you all that it can be done. And so there's no room to leave excuses. And so just like you heard Dixon tonight say, you got to get out there and do the work. And so if you've been blessed in any way by tonight's episode, you can sow a seed with Cash App at $SMART, JEWELZ, Venmo at Smart Jewels Enterprises. And recently this season, we started our Patreon account for our loyal subscribers and loyal followers. And so you can click the link that's tagged in the comment section to see how you can potentially sow a seed with us this evening. No seed is too large or too small. This is not going to my pockets. This goes back into what we use for our products and also what we use to make ourselves a live dynamic show each and every week for 2021. And so, Dix, man, I know it's been a pleasure serving with you this evening, King. We're going to leave a quick prayer for you, bro, to let you go out and enjoy the rest of your evening. My auntie said you dumped a load of jewels, life skills for a life period. I love it. Definitely shout out to all of those that were tuning in to the live. We appreciate you all for definitely being an active audience, because it's not about myself. It's not about my guests. It's about what you all can learn along with us as my guest shares their jewels each and every week. And so, Dix, I'm going to say a quick prayer over you, King, and then let you enjoy the rest of your week. All right, Father God, I just want to thank you for John's just vulnerability, and most importantly, his transparency in being able to show others just what you are able to do through him and what you are able to do even through his family that has been a support system for him, even to all of the friends and also the mentors that he's had along the way to just push him out fully and to not have him hold on to the guardrails or not have him hold on to any of the things that may try to cause him to have fear set in, but allowing him to launch and allowing him to spread his wings and fly this season. And so we thank you, Lord, for what you are doing in his life and increasing his outpouring of support, increasing his projects that he is able to get paid for his craft and his workmanship. We thank you for all of the jewels that he's been able to share with us this evening on following his passion and purpose and being an influencer and also a creative influencer. We pray that he touched someone that was watching to not play around with the gifts and not play around with the calling that is on their life, and that he even knows that he has blessed others, even if they are not able to share how much he's been a blessing to them. And we pray that you will continue to increase him in all that he does for the rest of this year, going into next year with new opportunities, new engagements, new products, new services that you will send his way. And we just love you, Father. And I thank you for his time. And it's in Yahshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ's name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
It's been a pleasure serving with you, King. It's always a good run when John Dixon is coming on the scene to drop the jewels with us, bro.
Thank you. And honestly, like, you have given so many people such great platforms to just talk and be there. And I want to say thank you to you. You are constantly spreading nothing but love and joy, and just, you're a great human being. King, I'm blessed, bro. I'm blessed.
Absolutely. Real quick, let them know, Dix, how they can follow you. Let them know what projects they may be able to support you on, or even to sow into you. Let people know how they can get in touch with you.
Very cool. JohnDixonActs.com, Acts with an S. And then all my socials are just John Dixon. You can also look me up on IMDb. You can Google me on John Dixon Actor. Yeah, and through my website, you can get in contact with my agent. Through my IMDb, you can get in contact with my agent, STW Talent. Shout out to y'all. Y'all rock. And thank you guys so much for having me here. I mean, just I'm about to cry. It's so nice.
And once again, you all, this is a real actor that is telling you how you can support him. He's not an Instagram actor. He's not a Facebook actor. He is legit. Go and check this brother's IMDb and also see how much credentials he was able to share with you all based off of his workmanship and his craft. And so, Jay, it's been a pleasure serving with you, King. I know they'll see you, whether it's on the silver screen, the big screen, or even in the commercials. This brother's in commercials, you all. You may even see him in your local commercials that you are tuning into on your television broadcast. So shout out to you, Dixon, for all that you're doing to diversify your brand portfolio, bro.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man. We'll be in touch, bro. Be safe, be blessed, and we'll talk soon, Dix.
All right, bro.
All right, peace. All right, y'all. I'm going to do a quick wrap up just for some final jewels for thought. You heard from my brother Dixon. Literally, you got to put in the work. This brother was not letting COVID slow him down. I was even checking to see that he is still literally working despite what was happening in his surroundings. He was still staying with his eye focused on the ball despite what was happening around him. He did not make excuses for himself. Of course, he's gone through trials and tribulations and struggles just like all of us have, but he kept working. He kept working at his craft. He kept doing what he is called to do, which is to influence others and to also inspire and entertain others, especially to let them know that they too can be inspirational. And so you heard from him this evening. If you have not been inspired yet to be a creative or to go after your purpose in doing what you were called to create and to help others, I don't know what to do for you, you all, because this was inspirational to myself. This is the third time Brother Dixon has come on the show to literally show you his progress. He's put in a lot of work since the first episode. You need to go back and look at our previous first episode we did with him during season 1 to see the growth in the building that he's done in less than 3 years. He's been putting in work. And so if you have not been inspired, go and look at his IMDb to see how much work he's put in, especially in the last 2 to 3 years. And so I'm going to get ready to just share with you all some of the things that we are doing here for Smart Jewels Enterprises and also the Run the Jewels show. And so take a look and see what services we have coming up for this fall and winter season. So we always say that we create and you shine. It's time to start that podcast, king or queen. It's time to start your show. It's time to start that creative platform that you've been sitting on the fence with, or even that you have not been consistent with, despite things opening back up all around the U.S., all around the world. We know that everybody was online during COVID last year, shut down, but it's time to start your show and create your platform. And so we offer services for podcast professionals, for creatives. If you are a television show host, a radio host, we offer podcast show creation, podcast live streaming services, technical assistance for your live stream or your podcast. If you are an educator or if you have educational classes or courses, we offer virtual classroom meeting solutions, webinar hosting, everything you see on this list that's also on our website that we're going to put in the comment section. We can be of service to you. You can sign up for a free 30-minute discovery session to see what services we can provide for you to help make your show, your videos, or your podcast more professional. Also, you heard me talk about, we just started our local Patreon this season to literally serve what we are doing for our equipment, for our product that we use, for the StreamYard services, each and every week, and also for our podcast that is online, audio on all podcast platforms. 3 levels to be a local VIP jewel, whether you want to be a gold, diamond, or platinum jewel. It just is separated by the price tiers. And again, this is for those loyal subscribers, those loyal jewels that have been rocking with us this season, or even if you've been here since season 1, definitely feel free to click the link to see how you can become a local jewel Patreon. Also, this summer and this fall season, we are relaunching our Smart Jewels Institute for all professionals and all entrepreneurs and business owners, whether you're looking to learn more about financial freedom and financial literacy, whether you're looking for personal development courses, even as Jay Dix was speaking about tonight, learning how to pivot into the acting industry and also to pivot your brand upward. We have classes on health and wellness, any class or coursework that revolves around personal development, financial wellness, and financial freedom. And most importantly, health and wellness are our 3 pillars. You can click the link and also see at Smart Jewels, JEWELZ, enterprises.com to see what upcoming courses we will be offering this fall for our members. Next week, we are in for a treat. She's coming back for round 2. She did an awesome job coming on this season for the first time at the RTJ show. Miss Titus 2 is coming back for episode 168, Apologetics in the Black Christian Part 2. And so you can catch us next week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. And this season, we just recently launched our LinkedIn multi-streaming podcast for the podcast episodes. And so you can take a look next week to see what Miss Titus 2 has to share with us on her subject matter that you see on the screen. And finally, you can subscribe to us if you haven't already. You're already missing out to see what previous jewels have been dropped from season 1. We're going back to the vault, you all, to share with you all how much we've progressed in the last year to 2 years. And so shout out to all of our jewels, including Brother Dixon, that has been a part of our platform and been a part of our journey for the Run the Jewels show. If you click the podcast, when you search for us, you'll see this image that's on the left, hosted by yours truly, King Jules. And when you see this image and follow or subscribe, you'll have subscribed to the right podcast platform. And those are all of my final jewels for thought. I'm your host, King Jules, here, just making sure that you have no reason to not be inspired or to be motivated each week to go after your destiny and to go after your calling. Each of us have a calling or a purpose, whether you realize it or not. Some of us are motivated enough and passionate enough to go after those things that we've been called to do. But some of us are still on the fence and some of us are still playing it too safe. If COVID has not taught us anything at all, it should be already beating in your head that life is short and time is of the essence, and time waits for no man or no woman. And so now is the time to get in the game and to complete that which you said that you were going to do, whether it was this year, whether it was 20 years ago, whether it was 50 years ago. It's never too late to get off of the shore and to get in the water and swim. You can't be able to swim if you are on the shore. You have to be able to get out in the water, stick your toes in, and to do some doggy paddling, whatever it takes to get moving on what you are called to do. This is something that we always prod and also promote here for the RTJ show. You are a jewel, you are a shining jewel, and so you are created to shine. And some of us choose to shine brighter than others. But Yah, our Abba Father, has created you for a specific purpose. And so that purpose is to be able to shine and spread your light to others. I'm your host, King Jules here. I just wanted to send a shout out to all of our sponsors. who have been a part of our movement this season: Hope Christian International's ministries, the Hugo Bar, JR, Anonymous, all of those who you see at the bottom of the screen. We give thanks to all of our VIP sponsors and donors. And last but not least, if you feel led to sow a seed with us, you can click the link that's also captured in the comment section to see how you can be a part of season 3's sponsorships and also donations. And no seed is too large or too small. If you feel led, this is good soil that you're sowing in. This goes back into our platform success in our podcast each and every quarter that we measure our donations and sponsors. And so shout out to all the names and even those who are still donating and sponsoring all of our future season 3 episodes. And so those are all of my jewels for thought this evening, you all. Make sure you take time to shine bright like the bright diamond jewel you've been created to be, because someone else needs to feel and needs to see the presence and the light that is within you. Go back and watch this episode. Share this with someone who may be able to benefit from it. Like and subscribe to us on all podcast platforms and here on social. And I'm your host, King Jules, signing off, you all. We'll see you all next week. Stay blessed, stay safe, and most importantly, take care of yourself and stay hydrated this season. All right, peace.